Hello Internet, this is Alex the Sudokus, and we have a request for help on Reddit today with this puzzle. It's from BC Stokes Reddit on Reddit, of course, Reddit on Reddit, yesterday, and kind of didn't get much traction with the post, so no one else is kind of helping them at the moment. So I kind of thought I'd chip in, and so hopefully I can help you solve the puzzle soon. So I've basically taken the puzzle, and what I've done is put them into Sudoku Exchange using just your pencil markings. Oh, hang on, I missed out a twos. Oops, twos and nines over here. So basically, I mentioned my first suggestion was the fact that, assuming that the pencil markings are correct, that there's a 1, 2, 9 triple on this row. So I'm hoping that you've already arrived at a conclusion that 1, 2, and 9 can't go in those cells, and 2 and 9 can't go there. So that leaves you with a 4 and 6 pair. So that's basically because there's a triple on the row, and 1, 2, and 9s have to go in one of those, assuming that no other numbers can go in them. And I think I did check, because 4 and 6 can't go in there, 4 and 6 can't go in these two cells, 4 and 6 can't go in there. So that's a way of confirming that the triple is correct. And you can basically eliminate along the same dimension. So in this case, it's a row. If you found a triple on a column, you can remove any numbers in other cells as well. So that forces a 4 and 6 pair in this case. So what effect does this have then? Well, first of all, it locks a 2 over here. So we can place a 2 because that's the only cell that has a 2. Because we've got 2 up there and point a pair of 2s. So this can no longer be a 2. And let's see. So let's try and solve this as a Sudoku then. What can we do next? It is a bit weird because, like, a lot of cells are not completed in terms of pencil marking, so I do find it a little bit tricky to read the board properly. But we have a triple here as well. So this is 1, I presume 1, 2, and 9. So 1, 2, and 9 can go in these cells in theory. But this cell can't be a 2. This cell can still be a 1, 2, and 9. So I've got another 1, 2, 9 triple. Does that help me in any way at all? Not quite sure yet. What about this cell? This is a 6 and 9. Yeah, I think the next step is probably worth just pencil marking in everything, so we know that everything is kind of lined up for the puzzle so that it's ready for solving. So I'm just going to quickly check that all the pencil markings are correct. So I'm kind of letting the Sudoku Exchange tool to highlight all the cells. So ones, have we pencil marked in all the ones? Yes, we have. All the twos, are they all pencil marked in? 2, 2, 2. Looks like they are. What about threes? Threes are all done. Fours. Ah, there we go. So there's this can also be a 4. So let's pencil mark that in. 4, 4, 4. So those are correct. Fives are all done because it's highlighting green down here. Sixes. Okay, so 6s are not complete. These can also be 6s. So let's pencil mark those in as well. 6s. Can that not be a 6 as well? Why can't that be a 6? Ooh, I'm curious. You've got 1, 2, and 9 there, but not 6. So there may be some deduction that can be used to eliminate that 6, but I'm not seeing it just yet. So I am going to pencil mark that 6 back in, because I want to be sure that the pencil markings are all correct. So apologies if I'm kind of like backstepping a little bit. 7s are all done, so what about 8s? 8s are all pencil marked in, they form Well, this is kind of the X-wing I was talking about, but in my comments. But let's look through the 9s as well. Okay, so now that's a good point actually. I should have spotted this. When we eliminated the 1, 2, and 9 from these two cells, it's also formed a pointed pair of 9s. So actually, that erases the 9 down here. Let's go back to your original pencil marking. So yeah, that confirms that this is actually a 1. So what does this 1 do? Eliminates those pencil markings. So still doesn't unlock anything just yet. But let's stay on the 9s and see if anything else is happening. 9s. Can't see anything unusual going on. Okay, so but at least we know now that everything has been pencil marked in. We can definitely get started on this. So let's see. 1, 2, 9, 1, 2, 8, 9, 1, 2, 9, triple, 6 and 9, 6 and 9. Better players can probably already spot something. I did do this yesterday, but I wonder if I had a slightly different grid the way I solved it, because I kind of just did the puzzle, I think. But let's have a look at where the numbers are. Okay, so these are the 1s, these are the 2s, these are the 3s, 4s, 5, 6. Okay, so I think this is where the X-wing comes in, basically. So I couldn't remember where the X-wing was because I have slept since I tried this yesterday, but this is where an X-wing exists, and I've never actually done X-wings in my puzzles, in my New York Times daily puzzles, but this is a good opportunity. So the way to look for X-wings is, so first of all, this is an X-wing, and I'll explain that in a second. But to find X-wings, what you want to do is, depending on your methodology, I tend to scan horizontally first. So I'm looking for every single row that has 2 identical numbers. In this case, I'm looking at 6s. I'm going to kind of like make a basically, every time I come across a pair of 6s, I will look down on those 2 columns that the 6s exist and see if there are any other instances where only 2 6s exist on the same row, in the same 2 columns. And that's where these 6s comes in, because if I look down by the rows, I can see I've got a pair of 6s there, and I've got a pair of 6s down here, and they're the only 2 places that the 6s can go. So let me highlight them first. So what does that do for us? Actually, I'm only highlighting off that 6. What does that do for us then? Well, if you think about the logic, horizontally, well, actually, let's show all the 6s still. Horizontally, one of these 2 cells have to be 6s on this row. So let's say the 6 goes here. What effect does that have? If that's a 6, then looking down at this row, we've only got 2 6s. The 6 has to go in that cell. So that's one variation. What if the 6 goes here? Well, in the bottom row, the 6 has to go in the other cell, horizontally, because there are no other places for the 6 to go. So based on that, we can tell that one of these 2 cells have to be a 6, and one of these 2 cells have to be a 6, because those are the only 2 permutations for the 6s on these 2 rows, basically. They can't go in any other places on these 2 rows. In either scenario, I either have a pair of 6s in these 2 cells, or a pair of 6s in these 2 cells. Actually, yellow is not very prominent, so let's go for purple. Also not very prominent, maybe orange. Okay, so that is what's called an X-wing, basically. So if there's always a 6 in one of these 2 cells, what does that do to the columns then? Well, on the columns, the 6 have to go in one of these 2 cells. So the X-wing is effectively means, so the reason it's called an X-wing, I think, is because they are kind of like parities between the 2 corners. It forms a cross, basically, so an X-wings, something like that, I don't know. But it basically means one of these have to be 6s, one of these have to be 6s. There can't be any more 6s along these columns or rows under any circumstances. So with that, if we look at all the 6s that are available on the grid, that cell, and that cell can no longer contain 6s. because if that's a 6, then neither of these two cells can be 6s, and I've got two 6s clashing, basically. Similarly, if that's a 6, I've got two 6s clashing over here. So that is an X-wing, and why don't I remove the 6s? And suddenly this puzzle should unlock itself, because you can now deduce this 9, this 6, and that's going to unlock the 9 down here, which unlocks, I think, the 2 and the 9, and it's going to cascade. The whole puzzle should collapse on itself. But I'm hoping that this helps you solve the puzzle. And if you want more Sudoku tips, although I do stick to New York Times and LA Times Sudoku, so I don't know if you're at a high level that requires more difficult techniques, I suppose. I don't know. But if you find that useful, please do leave a like and subscribe. I'll really appreciate that. And see you next time. Bye.